Welcome to the Disney Scrapbook, where together we take a journey to explore Disney history from 50 years ago. My name is Nolan. Today, I thought we would start to take a look at the 1973 Disneyland Record 50 Happy Years of Disney Favorites, with catalog number ST3513. This double-disc album, with an 11-page booklet, was released as part of the celebration to commemorate the Walt Disney Company's 50th anniversary on October 16, 1973. The album was launched as part of a year-long publicity campaign, probably at the beginning of March that year, as some people remember receiving this album as a gift on Easter Sunday, March 22, 1973. This 50th anniversary publicity campaign included specially produced comic books, merchandise, films and re-releases of films, including one of my favorites, the 1963 animated feature, The Sword and the Stone, in January. Then in the summer, the 1964 incredible award-winning musical, Mary Poppins, starring Julie Andrews and Dick Van Dyke. Then the classic 1970 animated feature, The Aristocats, was double featured with the now unavailable 1946 controversial live-action film, Song of the South, followed by the 1965 live-action comedy starring Haley Mills and Dean Jones, That Darn Cat. 50 Happy Years was the motto for the 50th anniversary celebrations, and this specially designed logo was created by Disney legend Bob Moore and Norm Marchetti. Robert Seymour's father was a violinist who had played on the sound recordings for both of the early Disney cartoons, Steamboat Willie and Plain Crazy. In 1940, Bob joined the studio in the animation department, moving to the story department before joining the publicity art department in 1948. Becoming publicity art director in 1951, where he designed the 1968 U.S. Disney postage stamp and the San Diego mascot for the 1984 Los Angeles Summer Olympics, as well as movie posters and comic books, Christmas cards, Little Golden books, and record covers. The wraparound cover of this LP has an amazing array of characters, starting on the back cover with Practical Pig brandishing a hammer, Fifer Pig blowing his flute, and Fiddler Pig blowing his violin, all from the 1933 Silly Symphony cartoon The Three Little Pigs. Mary Poppins from the award-winning musical film of the same name floats above them holding a carpet bag thanks to her umbrella. Lady and the Tramp from the Lady and the Tramp film walk side by side. Alice and the White Rabbit from Alice in Wonderland must be late as they scurry along. From Song of the South, Brer Rabbit happily bounces away. Bright Rose and Prince Philip from Sleeping Beauty stroll along arm in arm, accompanied by the three good fairies, Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather. Grouped happily together are Bambi, Flower, and Thumper from the animated classic Bambi, and Dopey from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is desperately trying to catch up with the characters from his film who are on the front cover. On the front side of the album cover, Winnie the Pooh is delightedly carrying his big pot of honey, as Chip reaches forward by his heel. Blue and Mowgli from the Jungle Book are followed by Tick-Tock, the crocodile from Peter Pan. Dumbo soars above, flying a banner with the dates 1923 to 1973. The fairy godmother wants Cinderella's wish, as under the watchful eye of Jiminy Cricket and accompanied by Figaro the cat, Pinocchio heads off to school, with a red apple in his left hand and a green book in his right. Mickey Mouse takes off his top hat in salute, as Mary Blair's depiction of children from the It's a Small World attraction fly by in a hot air balloon, Snow White dances with Doc, as the mice, Jacques and Gus, keep a watchful eye on Cinderella. At the top of the sleeve, Peter Pan and Tinker Bell fly above the other characters, as she points out the special 50th logo with her wand. There will be a detailed exploration of the inside of this cover, along with its beautifully illustrated 11-page booklet in part 2 of the series. Side 1 contains what has become Disney's anthem, the Oscar-winning song When You Wish Upon a Star, with music by Disney legends Lee Holland and lyrics by Ned Washington, from the soundtrack to the animated feature Pinocchio, sung by Cliff Edwards as Jiminy Cricket, Pinocchio's conscience, as he assures Pinocchio that he can become a real boy. The Broadway star Mary Martin sings the second track on this side, an upbeat version of Whistle While You Work, by Disney legend, staff composer Frank Churchill, with lyricist and screenwriter Larry Morey, from Disney's first animated feature, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. This recording of the song is off the 1958 album Hi Ho, Mary Martin with Tutti Camarada trumpet and orchestra. Second star to the right, the opening song to Disney's animated feature, Peter Pan, written by the award-winning lyricist Sammy Cahn with music by Sammy Fain, is lifted off the film's soundtrack LP for track 3. This is probably sung by the Judd Collin singers. Judd Collin himself was the musical arranger for this film. Folk singer Bill Odd's unmistakable voice sings the Oscar-nominated Old English folk song Lavender's Blue Dilly Dilly, arranged by Larry Morey and Elliot Daniel, from the 1949 Disney film So Dear to My Heart. The recognizable baritone voice of the well-known multi-talented performer Phil Harris can be heard singing track 5, the Oscar-nominated song The Bare Necessities, from the 1967 animated feature The Jungle Book as Blue. The Bare Necessities was written by Terry Gilkinson, an American folk singer and composer who wrote for Burr Lives. Another Oscar-nominated song, Love is a Song, from Disney's successful 1942 animated feature Bambi, appears as the last track on this side, written, once again, by Larry Morey and Frank Churchill. This track is a 1957 arrangement and recording by Tutti Camarada. For the album, Camarada interprets the music of Walt Disney's Cinderella and Bambi, WDL 4009. The striking choral and orchestral arrangement, along with rich strings, creates dramatic power through the use of Tutti's trumpets, a group of top Hollywood musicians who regularly worked with him. The addition of an 8-note counter melody after the first 2 lines adds whimsy. Although this is an amazing piece of music, I find its placement on the end of side 1 an interesting choice, as it's somewhat melancholy in pace. Side 2 contains the Oscar award-winning earworm Zippity-Doo-Dah, sung by James Baskett as Uncle Remus, from the controversial 1946 film Song of the South, composed by Ali Rubel with lyrics by Ray Gilbert. The second track on this side is Hi Ho from Disney's first animated feature, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. This 1937 song was composed by Frank Churchill with lyrics by Larry Morey. Mary Martin sings this upbeat version of the song, arranged by Tutti Camarada and featuring his trumpet and orchestra, that was released on her 1958 hit album Hi Ho. Werner Felton sings the third track on the side, Bippity Boppity Boo, from Disney's 1950 animated feature Cinderella, written by a collaboration between the prolific Timpanelli songwriters David Mack, Al Hoffman, and Jerry Livingston. Mary Costa sings track 4, Bluebird I Wonder, from the original soundtrack edition LP of Disney's 1959 animated feature Sleeping Beauty, written by Disney's in-house composer, Disney legend George Bruns, with Ted Sears, who was the first head of Disney's story department, and Winston Hibler, better known as a film producer and for narrating Disney's True Life Adventure series. Track 5, the work song from Disney's 1950 animated feature Cinderella, written once again by David Mack, Al Hoffman, and Jerry Livingston. In this performance, a tape of Disney legend Jimmy McDonald is sped up to sound like a chorus of mice. The song features a lively, upbeat tempo that reflects the animal's energetic efforts to assist Cinderella. The theme tune for Disney's 1951 animated feature Alice in Wonderland, composed by Sammy Fain, who had composed over 50 songs for films with lyrics by Bob Hilliard, is taken from Conrad's own 1957 arrangement and recording of the soundtrack. Because Disneyland Records had not been established at the time of the film's release, an original soundtrack record did not exist in their catalog, and therefore they did not have the music rights to use the original soundtrack on this LP. The great jazz artist and performer Louis Prima, better known as King Louie from The Jungle Book, sings the concluding song on this side, Winnie the Pooh, a song written by Disney's prolific staff songwriting duo, Richard M. and Robert B. Sherman. The album cover appears to have an incorrect reference here, as Prima does not appear on the Blustery Day LP, but on the Happy Birthday Party with Winnie the Pooh, ST3942 LP. Prima's voice can be heard at the start of the track as he says, "Once upon a time there was a lovable bear named Winnie the Pooh," as the music is introduced. Prima's half-sung, half-scat performance with added vocals by Rory Lester and Disney legend Jimmy McDonald is an excellent, upbeat, high-energy conclusion to the first disc of this double-disc album. Side 3 contains Chim Chim Cheree, sung by Dick Van Dyke and Julie Andrews, from the soundtrack album to Disney's award-winning 1964 classic Mary Poppins, written by the prolific songwriting duo of Richard M. and Robert B. Sherman. Track 2, Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Wolf, written by Frankie Churchill with additional lyrics by Anne Rennell, from Disney's 1933 animated cartoon The Three Little Pigs. It's a 1958 recording used on various Storyteller LPs featuring Disney legend Jimmy McDonald and singer Gloria Wood, who had a 4-octave range. Bella Noche is track 3. Peggy Lee and Sonny Brook's song from the 1955 animated feature Lady and the Tramp is performed by the talented Bob Grabo, dubbed the King of Sing, in this 1962 recording off of Conrad's own recording of Lady and the Tramp's soundtrack. Give a Little Whistle from the soundtrack album of Disney's 1940 animated feature Pinocchio was sung by Cliff Edwards, written by Lee Harline, with lyrics by Ned Washington, and is featured as track 4. Concluding this side is the Disneyland Boys Choir, in fact the choir from Tootie's Family Church in North Hollywood, singing Richard M. and Robert B. Sherman's Earworm, It's a Small World, from the 1965 album of the same name. This song was originally written for the attraction of the same name in the UNICEF Pavilion at the 1964-65 New York World's Fair. Side 4 contains the Millermen and the Musketeer Chorus singing the Mickey Mouse March, written in 1955 by Jimmy Dodd, for the theme song of the popular TV show The Mickey Mouse Club. Little April Showers from the 1942 soundtrack to the animated film Bambi, written by Frank Churchill and Larry Morey as the second track on the side. Frank Churchill and Ned Washington's 1941 song from the soundtrack of Disney's animated feature Dumbo. Casey Jr. is the third track, sung by the Sportsman Quartet, a barbershop quartet containing Bill Day, John Waring, Max Smith, and Phil Ravenscroft. Acclaimed British-born actress Dame Andrew Lansbury sings Richard M. and Robert B. Sherman's song The Age of Not Believing from the soundtrack of her starring role in the award-winning musical fantasy Bedknobs and Broomsticks as track 4. Track 5, Sludges Amigos, is the title song to the 1942 film of the same name. This recording is from the 1958 studio track album Sludges Amigos, Walt Disney's Music from South of the Border, sung by the studio chorus composed by Charles Walcott with lyrics by Ned Washington. Eileen Woods sings Mac David, Al Hoffman, and Jerry Livingston's classic song, A Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes, from the first ever series of soundtrack LPs that Disneyland Records ever produced. Walt Disney's Cinderella, music from the original motion picture soundtrack. WDL 4007, released in 1956. The final track on this album is the final track of Walt Disney's Sleeping Beauty LP, WDL 4018, the 1959 soundtrack album for the animated feature Sleeping Beauty. What's About a Dream was adapted from Tchaikovsky's ballet Sleeping Beauty by Sammy Fain and Jack Lawrence. This orchestral track was recorded under the baton of George Bruns in Germany. Meanwhile, in Hollywood, Trudy Cabalado recorded the chorus. I find it interesting that Disneyland Records would make a 2-record set at this time, as they were busy financially promoting the upcoming release of the Robin Hood film. However, Disneyland Records already owned the rights to all of this previously released artwork and recordings. Consequently, their financial output was minimal. I will continue this deep dive exploration into the 50 Happy Years of Disney Favorites LP in part 2 of this series, where we will investigate the interior of the accompanying 11-page booklet, which lists the awards received by each of the motion pictures highlighted on this LP, along with how this LP was recorded. Thank you for listening. If you would like to listen to this album before part 2 of the series, it's available on Discogs, Amazon, eBay, and your local used record store. If you enjoyed this type of 50th anniversary content, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. The Disney Scrapbook channel will be producing other 50th anniversary content throughout the year that will include reviews of Disney films, LPs, books, and theme park content. See you in part 2. TTFN. Ta-ta for now.